What would you do if you lost your job tomorrow or your car broke down today? What if an unexpected medical expense came up? Can you afford that? Or will you have to scramble for money? Now imagine if you could wake up tomorrow knowing you have the financial freedom to handle anything life throws your way. That's the power of an emergency fund. Hello everyone, I'm excited to talk to you today about something that has the potential to completely change your financial life. Building an emergency fund. If you're sitting there thinking, that sounds boring or complicated, I promise you, it doesn't have to be. Building an emergency fund is one of the smartest and simplest ways to take control of your finances and safeguard your future. You don't need to be a financial expert to do this. It's about making small, smart choices today that will have a huge impact tomorrow. Why you need an emergency fund. Let's start with the basics. Why is an emergency fund so important? Why should we set money aside in the first place? Well, life doesn't always go according to plan. Cars break down, medical emergencies happen, your roof may leak, or your dog may need a surgery. You may even lose your job or face a sudden drop in income. These unexpected expenses can send us into a financial tailspin if we're not prepared. That's where an emergency fund comes in. It's the safety net that protects you from those financial shockwaves, so you don't have to dip into your credit cards or take out a loan. It's about peace of mind, knowing that, come what may, you can handle the unexpected without going into debt. How much should you save? Now, the next big question is, how much should you save for your emergency fund? The amount you need will depend on a few factors, but the general rule is to aim for 3 to 6 months' worth of living expenses. Let me break it down. If you spend $2,000 per month, you should target at least $6,000 to $12,000. This might sound like a big number, but let me reassure you, it's achievable if you plan and stay consistent. But don't stress if you can't get to that number right away. The key is to start small. In the beginning, focus on saving just $1,000. That will cover most minor emergencies, and it's a great starting point to build your momentum. The purpose of an emergency fund. It's important to remember that your emergency fund is not for non-essential purchases. It's not for vacations, new electronics, or eating out. It's strictly for emergencies. Imagine this. Your car suddenly needs a $1,500 repair. You don't want to put that on a credit card because the interest will add up quickly. Your emergency fund allows you to handle this situation without worrying about how you'll pay for it. Step-by-step guide to building your emergency fund. Now let's talk about the steps to building your emergency fund. It's easier than you might think. Set a realistic goal. Start by setting a goal. As I mentioned, you should aim for $1,000 initially. Don't be discouraged if you can't hit a bigger number right away. Small, consistent contributions are what matter the most. If you've never saved money before, aiming for $1,000 will give you a solid foundation and get you into the habit of saving. Review your budget. Next, take a good look at your budget. You can't save money if you don't know where it's going, right? Sit down and track all of your monthly expenses. If you're already on a budget, great. If not, there are many free tools and apps available, like Mint or YNAB, You Need a Budget, that can help you understand where your money is going each month. Once you have a clear picture, you can see where you might cut back to free up some money for your emergency fund. Automate your savings. Once you know how much you can afford to save, make it automatic. Set up a direct transfer from your checking account to a separate savings account. Treat this like a bill you have to pay each month. The key is to set it and forget it. By automating the process, you'll save consistently without even having to think about it. Cut back on unnecessary spending. I know it's not always fun to cut back, but remember, it's temporary. If you can reduce spending on things that aren't essential, you'll get to your emergency fund goal faster. Can you cut back on takeout? Maybe you can cancel a subscription you rarely use? These small sacrifices can free up extra cash to put into your emergency fund. Use windfalls. Got a tax refund, a birthday check, or a bonus at work? These windfalls can be a great way to boost your emergency fund quickly. Instead of spending that unexpected cash, try to put at least part of it into your fund. You'd be surprised how quickly these small boosts can add up. Stay consistent. The most important thing is consistency. Even if you can only save $50 a month, that's okay. Over time, it adds up. Stay committed to your goal and don't be discouraged if it takes longer than you expected. Building an emergency fund is about patience and persistence. Where to keep your emergency fund? So, now that you've saved some money, where should you keep it? It needs to be accessible, but not too easy to dip into for non-emergencies. A high-yield savings account is a great option. You can earn a little interest while still having quick access to your money when you need it. Avoid keeping your emergency fund in a checking account where it might be too tempting to use for everyday spending. Also, avoid putting it in investments like stocks. This money needs to be safe and available when life happens. When should you use your emergency fund? One of the most common questions I get is, when should I use my emergency fund? The answer is simple, only for true emergencies. If your car breaks down unexpectedly or you have a medical expense you didn't see coming, that's a true emergency. But a flat tire on your way to work isn't an emergency. It's just a part of life. Having a clear line between true emergencies and minor inconveniences is key to keeping your fund intact. Overcoming challenges. I get it. Life happens. Sometimes building your emergency fund can feel like an uphill battle. Maybe you have other debts or your income is tight. But here's the thing. You don't need to have a perfect financial situation to start. Every dollar counts. Every small step gets you closer to your goal. And when you reach your goal, you'll feel empowered and ready for whatever comes your way. How to stay motivated. When you're building an emergency fund, it's easy to get discouraged, especially if it feels like it's taking forever. But remember, progress is progress. Stay focused on your why. Why do you want this fund? What will it give you? For most people, it's peace of mind. You don't have to worry about the next crisis because you'll be prepared. Final thoughts. In conclusion, building an emergency fund is one of the smartest financial moves you can make. It doesn't happen overnight, but with the right strategy and persistence, you can do it. Start small, stay consistent, and remember, you're building something that will give you freedom and security. You've got this. If you found this information helpful, make sure to subscribe to the channel. We're just a few subscribers away from hitting 1,000, and your support will help us keep creating more helpful content for you. So subscribe, like this video, and leave a comment with your own tips on building an emergency fund. I'd love to hear your thoughts.